Top 10 Cursed Things You Should Run From. Welcome back, everyone. Today we're diving into the eerie and unsettling world of cursed objects. You know, those things that go bump in the night, but it's not a monster, it's a lamp. These items have a dark history and are said to bring misfortune to anyone who possesses them. Some people think it's all fake, but what if it's not? What if these objects hold a power that we can't even begin to understand? So, if you're brave enough, let's get started. Okay, guys, we've all heard of the Hope Diamond. It's big, it's blue, and it's worth a fortune. But did you know that it's also said to be cursed? Like, seriously cursed. The legend goes that this diamond was once the eye of a statue in India, and when it was stolen, a curse was placed upon it. Since then, it's said to bring bad luck and even death to anyone who owns it or even touches it. There are tales of people mysteriously falling ill, losing everything, and even dying in gruesome ways after coming into contact with the diamond. Let's talk about some of the supposed victims of the Hope Diamond curse. There was Louis XIV, the King of France, who owned the diamond for a while. He ended up dying a pretty gruesome death. And then there was Princess de Lamballe, who wore the diamond and met a tragic end during the French Revolution. Her life was plagued by tragedy after she got her hands on the Hope Diamond. Oh boy, where do I even begin with Annabelle? This is like the OG creepy doll story. You've probably seen the movies, but the real story is even creepier. This seemingly innocent Raggedy Ann doll is said to be possessed by a demonic spirit. The story goes that Annabelle was given to a nursing student named Donna back in the 1970s. The doll would move around on its own, leaving creepy notes and even appearing in different rooms. Donna and her roommate even claimed that they found the doll with blood on it. They called in a psychic medium, who told them that the doll was possessed by the spirit of a young girl named Annabelle Higgins. The medium also said that Annabelle was looking for a human host to possess. They contacted paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren, who determined that the doll wasn't possessed by a little girl at all, but by a demon. The Warrens took Annabelle back to their occult museum in Connecticut, where she remains to this day, locked up in a glass case. Okay, guys, get ready for this one, because it's a doozy. The Dik Box is a wine cabinet that's said to be haunted by a Dybbuk, a restless spirit in Jewish folklore. Dybbuks are known for being malevolent and down to cause some serious chaos. The story goes that the box originated in Poland and was owned by a Holocaust survivor who used it to trap a malicious spirit. After she passed away, the box bounced around from owner to owner, each experiencing increasingly disturbing events. One owner, Kevin Manis, claimed that the box brought a wave of misfortune into his life after he bought it at an estate sale. He started having terrible nightmares, his business failed, and his health deteriorated. Kevin eventually decided to get rid of the box, gifting it to his mother. His mother suffered a stroke on the same day she received the box. The box ended up in the hands of Jason Haxton, a medical museum curator who was intrigued by its history. Jason reported experiencing strange health problems, seeing shadow figures, and feeling an overwhelming sense of dread while in the box's presence. Eventually, Jason decided to seal the box up again, hoping to contain whatever evil lurked within. The Dik Box is now considered one of the most haunted objects in the world. Chapter 4. The Crying Boy Painting, Fire Hazard, or Total BS. Alright guys, let's talk about cursed paintings. The Crying Boy is a mass-produced print of a painting by Italian artist Bruno Amadio, depicting a crying boy. This painting has a seriously unsettling reputation. It's said to be cursed, bringing bad luck and, specifically, fire to anyone who owns a copy. The painting is said to be indestructible, surviving the flames while everything around it burns to a crisp. The legend of the Crying Boy painting gained traction in the UK back in the 1980s. There was a string of house fires where the only thing left standing was a copy of the Crying Boy. People were freaking out. Newspapers ran stories about the cursed painting, and people were so terrified that they started throwing their copies away, burning them, anything to get rid of them. Some people say it's all just a coincidence. They argue that the paintings survived the fires because they were mass-produced and printed on fire-resistant material. But here's the thing, even if it is just a coincidence, the stories surrounding the Crying Boy are still creepy as hell. There are tales of people experiencing strange phenomena after bringing the painting into their home. Chapter 5. The Busby Stoop Chair. Have a seat, if you dare. Okay guys, let's talk about cursed furniture. The Busby Stoop Chair is a wooden chair that's said to bring death to anyone who dares to sit in it. The story takes place in the 1700s in a little town called Thirsk, England. It all started with a guy named Thomas Busby who had a bit of a temper. One day, Thomas came home to find his father-in-law, Daniel Audie, sitting in his favorite chair. A fight broke out, and Thomas ended up killing Daniel by smashing his head against the chair. Before being hanged for murder, Thomas cursed the chair, proclaiming that anyone who dared to sit in it would die a horrible death. Over the years, there have been numerous reports of people dying shortly after sitting in the Busby Stoop chair. The chair's infamy grew so much that the owner of the pub where it was kept eventually donated it to the Thirsk Museum. But even in a museum, the chair's curse seemed to hold strong. There are stories of museum workers refusing to clean or even touch the chair for fear of activating the curse. One story even claims that a cleaning lady accidentally bumped into the chair and died later that day in a car accident. Chapter 6. The Myrtles Plantation. Mirror. Objects in mirror are deadlier than they appear. The Myrtles Plantation in Louisiana is considered one of the most haunted places in America, and at the center of its paranormal activity is a mirror. This mirror is said to be a portal to the other side, reflecting back not just your image, but the spirits of those who have passed on. Legend has it that the mirror became haunted after a tragic event that occurred on the plantation in the 1800s. A woman named Sarah Woodruff and her 2 daughters were poisoned by a slave seeking revenge. Their spirits are said to be trapped within the mirror, their souls unable to find peace. Visitors to the plantation have reported seeing strange figures in the mirror's reflection, shadowy apparitions that vanish as quickly as they appear. Some have even claimed to see the reflection of Sarah Woodruff herself, her eyes filled with sadness. Chapter 7. The Hands Resist Him Painting. This artwork bites back. The Hands Resist Him is a painting that's gained a reputation for being seriously cursed, bringing bad luck, illness, and general unease to anyone who owns it or even views it online. The painting itself is pretty unsettling. It depicts a young boy and a creepy doll standing in front of a glass door. The boy's hands are outstretched, palms up, as if he's being held back by an unseen force. The doll seems to be alive, its eyes staring blankly ahead, a sinister smile on its face. The painting was created by an artist named Bill Stoneham, who claims that the painting is based on a photograph of himself as a child. According to Stoneham, the door represents the barrier between the real world and the world of dreams, and the hands represent the rejected lives he could have lived. The doll, he says, is a guide that will lead him through the world of dreams. Chapter 8. The Bastano Vase. Don't even think about putting flowers in this thing. The Bastano Vase is a beautiful silver vase that's said to bring death to anyone who owns it. The story goes that the vase was made in Italy in the 15th century and was given as a wedding gift to a young bride from the Bastano family. But on her wedding night, the bride was found dead, clutching the vase in her hands. Her dying words were a curse upon the vase, vowing that it would bring death to anyone who possessed it. The vase was passed down through the Bastano family, and each person who owned it met an untimely end. Eventually, the Bastano family decided enough was enough. They hid the vase away, hoping to break the curse. It was rediscovered in 1988 by a pharmacist who found it hidden in a wall. The pharmacist sold the vase to an auction house, and it was bought by a young doctor. The doctor, being a man of science, scoffed at the idea of a curse, but within months of buying the vase, he was dead. Chapter 9. The Tallman Bunk Beds. Sleep tight and don't let the bed bugs bite. The Tallman bunk beds were a set of bunk beds that caused all sorts of paranormal chaos for the family who owned them. The story goes that the bunk beds were purchased by a family in Wisconsin back in the 1980s. The family had no idea that the beds were haunted, but they soon found out. It started with strange noises coming from the children's room. Whispers, giggles, and even the sound of footsteps. Then, things escalated. The children began to complain about nightmares, and they claimed to see shadow figures lurking in their room at night. The parents, naturally, were concerned. They tried everything they could think of to get rid of the strange activity. Eventually, the family decided enough was enough. They sold the bunk beds. Chapter 10. The Iceman Curse of the Frozen Mummy. The Iceman, also known as Otzi, is a 5,300-year-old mummy that was discovered frozen in a glacier back in 1991. Some people believe that he's cursed, bringing bad luck and even death to those who disturb him. The curse of the Iceman is said to stem from the belief that disturbing the dead can have dire consequences. In many cultures, mummies are seen as sacred objects that should be treated with respect. Disturbing a mummy's resting place is considered a grave offense, one that can anger the spirits and unleash their wrath. People connected to the Iceman's discovery started dying under mysterious circumstances. Sweet dreams! Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more spine-tingling content. And remember, some things are better left untouched. Stay safe, everyone.